So I've been thinking about if I should move back to full frame or stay with APS-C. And after Sony announced about their new RX1R Mark III, I was a bit intrigued if I should or not. But after looking at the specs, which is pretty impressive, it's using an R5 61 megapixel sensor. And although it's a 35 millimeter f2 lens, I think it allows you to do digital crop to 50 millimeter focal length and also 70 millimeter focal length, and also supports the 4K at 30 frames per second and also 10-bit internal recording, which is pretty cool. However, I think I won't go back to full frame for a while because if I were to go back to full frame, I would like to go back to a newer Sony, not specifically this one. It'll probably be the next iteration of the A7 series, which is the A7 IV, I believe. Another camera I've been eyeing down since its release last year was the Nikon ZF. I was at the B&H Build Expo about a month ago, and I was able to try it out at one of the Nikon booths. And it's a phenomenal camera. The brass dials on top feels really nice, super premium, fantastic image quality. But I am also a sucker for higher megapixel, only because I like to download on my photos and crop in. And having a 24 megapixel, I would have to make sure that my composition is on point at all times. That way, if I were to crop it in, I'm not losing much or any of the information at all. However, like I said, I probably will not go back to full frame for a while because I do love what Fujifilm has to offer for me since I've used it last year. I think the color is amazing. It's super easy to edit, and it's just really fun to use. So I really love my X-T5s, and as obviously I'm recording on the XX2S at the moment. And you know, the RX1R Mark III, it's been 10 years since they've did an update to this camera, and it's amazing because the last one, the Mark II, was probably 10 years ago, and a lot of Sony users have been searching for the Mark II version of this camera far and wide. And although it's 10 years old, the Mark II version of this new camera still costs a hefty amount of money. But with this new one, it's about $5,099, I believe, roughly $6,000, unless you're buying it in a state where there's no tax. So it's a really cool camera. It looks fantastic, and I cannot wait to see what some of the creators on YouTube are going to do with this camera. I'm excited to see the photos that's coming out from this, and I think having a point and shoot full frame, 61 megapixels, low aperture, I think it's gonna be phenomenal. And f2 is actually pretty good. I believe f2 is great for me because when I shoot with a lens that's 1.2, 1.4, I'm always stepping down to 2. I just think f2 gives you the best quality with enough sharpness and still pretty good bokeh. So yeah, so I don't think I'm going to be getting this camera only because it's super expensive. If I had the money, to be honest with you, I'd probably go for the Fujifilm GFX 100 Mark II or their medium format point and shoot, the Fujifilm RF, which I was able to try out and play with when I was at the expo. It felt amazing. And another camera that I've been eyeing down as well too from Fujifilm was their new XE5. I really, really liked how that felt in the hands as well too. I think it's a good enough camera to take around with you on trips and probably even some wedding work because it has the same sensor as the XT5, which is really nice. But a few things that I don't understand why some of these camera companies, and I get it, cost is a thing, and I understand that there's certain things that you want to cut off from, charging an X amount of money or having to pay for more to make. So with the XE5, although it has all the fundamentals of the XE5. Yeah, XE5, although it has the same fundamentals as the XT5s, it, however, is lacking in weather sealing. And I think, to me, that is a big, big thing. Although to some might not be, that important. You can always go into those camera covers. But I like to make sure that, although, yeah, I'm taking my camera out, I want to make sure that it's secure, it's safe, and it's, protected from the elements in case something happens to it. I don't want to go through the whole RMA and trying to get it fixed and possibly buying a whole new camera. It's just a whole mess. And I think, especially with the SX20, which is sort of like the little brother of the XH2S, has the same internals, similar recording specs. The only difference is that the XH2S supports 120 frames per second at 4K. The SX20 caps out at 60. But then again, there's no weather sealing. Kind of throws me off a little bit. So therefore, I'm keeping the bigger and bulkier brother of the XH2S. So yes, long story short, I would not be going back to full frame. I am content. I like where I'm at, and I'm excited to continue to use Fuji. And so far, my clients has been loving it. I'm been pleased with the image quality. And last but not least, last year's firmware update to address the autofocusing issues has been a big, big leap of improvement for both the XH2S and also the XT5 series. So I'm excited. And like I said, I can't wait to see what other creators do with this Sony RX1R Mark III. Although I love Fujifilm at the moment, I always still have a soft spot for Sony, just because Sony was the camera brand that really kickstarted my whole photography career. So I'm totally excited to see what they have to offer in their future as well too. Hoping they keep the price of the next the A7 V, kind of relatively, similar to what the A7 IV cost when it first released. So I'll see you guys later.